Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Steve Scully from C-SPAN, and on behalf of the National Archives, we would like to welcome you. One of the quotes inside from George Washington, "Liberty, when it takes root, is a plant of rapid growth." What a day we have here. Thank you for being with us. Now, we're gathered here to remember, if you think about it, the simple yet powerful voice of those 56 men who placed their name on a document that created a new nation. They came from different parts of the country with different ideologies, and yet they set aside those differences. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. 236 years later, this document remains the framework of who we are and a model for the rest of the world. This year, we should point out, also marks the bicentennial of the War of 1812. Throughout our history, we are constantly reminded of the ultimate sacrifice made by so many in order for all of us here today to stand on this glorious morning in freedom and liberty. So let us for a moment thank all of those of you in active service and all the veterans. If we could, a round of applause to all of you. And to all of you, thank you for what is going to be a very special 4th of July. What a better place to celebrate America and our independence. The building behind me, of course, is the National Archives. It is the permanent home that we call the Declaration of Independence. And for more than 30 years, this ceremony has been taking place at this very spot. This is also, for all of those of you here early, got a parking space, the kickoff to the events in our nation's capital. In about 2 hours, the parade will come along this route. And this evening, of course, just a few blocks down at the U.S. Capitol will be, of course, the Capitol 4th, that live concert. And then later tonight, the very best fireworks display anywhere in the world along the mall here in Washington. So stick around. Enjoy the day, and let us all celebrate our independence. I'm going to ask all of you now to rise, if you would, for a moment for the presentation of the colors by the 3rd United States Infantry, the Old Guard, the Continental Color Guard, with a remarkable voice, Olivia Vogt, who will sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave
Olivia Vogt, thank you very, very much. Well, imagine what it must have been like 236 years ago. Of course, the temperature was probably about the same. So to give you a taste of the atmosphere of the colonial America, we have the 3rd United States Infantry Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps. Their uniforms are from the Revolutionary War era, and so is their music. I'm pleased to present Staff Sergeant Julie Dukes, who will narrate their performance. Please join me in welcoming the Old Guard Fife and Drum.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The United States Army Military District of Washington, under the command of Major General Michael Linnington, is proud to present the United States Army Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps. The 3rd United States Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, traces its lineage back to the 1st American Regiment of 1784, and today serves as the Army's official escort to the President of the United States. In 1960, the Fife and Drum Corps was organized to participate in official ceremonies and to revive our country's musical heritage. As one of the Army's premier musical organizations, the Corps performs for visiting dignitaries and heads of state at the White House and throughout our nation's capital. In addition, the Corps travels extensively, averaging 500 performances annually while serving as a goodwill ambassador for the Army across the nation and abroad. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the United States Army Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps. From the days of the American Revolution through the 19th century, Army field musicians played a vital role in maintaining good order, discipline, and morale. The sounds of the fife, bugle, and drum acted as the voice of the commander, signaling to the soldiers when to rise, how to move in battle, and when to retire for the evening. The soldiers of the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps wear uniforms patterned after the musicians of George Washington's Continental Army. In order to be easily identified, military musicians of the period wore the reverse colors of the regiment to which they were assigned. In 1784, infantry soldiers of the 1st American Regiment wore blue coats with red trim. Thus, the musicians of the time wore red coats trimmed in blue. The instruments used by the Corps are patterned after traditional field instruments of the period. These modernized versions allow the musicians to perform more contemporary arrangements than the music found in manuscripts of the 18th and 19th centuries. Listen now as the Corps features the fife, bugle, and drum, bringing to life the sights and sounds of our country's musical heritage. the history of the American Army, one of the most significant duties for the field musician was to render honors to the flag of the United States of America. The Corps will now play music from the retreat ceremony, an occasion where the flag is lowered, signaling the end of the duty day, and conclude the performance with their signature melody, Yankee Doodle. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the United States Army, Old Guard, Fife, and Drum Corps. On behalf of the Old Guard Commander, Colonel James C. Markert, and the Fife and Drum Corps Commander, Chief Warrant Officer Frederick Elwine, it has been our pleasure performing to you today.
To Staff Sergeant Julie Dukes from Chicago, Illinois, thank you for your presentation. And also to the Old Guard, if you've seen an arrival ceremony for a head of state, the Old Guard welcoming foreign dignitaries, but of course today welcoming all of you here today. So thank you to the Old Guard. We are in the very midst of a revolution, the most complete, unexpected, and remarkable of any in the history of nations. John Adams. The National Archives works every day not only to preserve the actual Declaration of Independence, but also the ideals in which it represents. It cares for the records of our democracy and every day makes them accessible to the public. All day today until 7 o'clock, you can tour this remarkable building. The National Archives also ensures the rights of individuals and the accountability of government. That, of course, is the hallmark of what we call our democracy. So it is now my great pleasure to introduce the man that we have entrusted to care for the Declaration of Independence. He is responsible for 10 billion pages of documents. Along with his staff, he is the one who decides which of the millions and millions of documents the federal government produces each year are saved and preserved that become part of the record of our nation. He is, of course, David Ferriero, the Archivist of the United States, sworn into this job on November 13th, 2009. He previously served as the Andrew W. Mellon Director at the New York Public Libraries, 4 research libraries, 87 branches, and collectively bringing them together in a seamless service in this digital age for users with reference and research services, education programming, and exhibitions. Before joining the New York Public Library back in 2004, he served two remarkable universities, MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. He is a graduate of Boston University, Northeastern University in Boston, I should say, and the Simmons College of Library Science. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Ferriero, the Archivist of the United States.
Thank you, Steve, and good morning. Thanks to all of you for joining us this morning on the steps of the National Archives as we celebrate the 236th anniversary of the day the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence. Each year, we celebrate the 4th of July with a reading of the Declaration of Independence, a document on display behind me in this beautiful building. Our doors opened in 1935 with a mission which has remained unchanged over the years: to collect, protect, and to promote the use of the records of our government. Thomas Jefferson's words are as relevant today as they were when he wrote them in a letter from Paris in 1797. Whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government. That whenever things get so far wrong as to attract their notice, they may be relied on to set them to rights. An informed citizenry is at the heart of what we do here, rooted in the belief that citizens have the right to see, examine, and learn from the records that guarantee their rights, document government actions, and tell the story of the nation. Today, that collection translates into about 12 billion sheets of paper, 40 million photographs, and miles of film and video, and more than 5 billion electronic records, as you can imagine, the fastest growing part of our collection. 12 billion pieces of paper translates into 1.4 million trees. Laid end to end, 12 billion pieces of paper would circle the globe 84 times. And those records are here for you to help you become an informed citizen. This year, along with Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Benjamin Franklin, we have 4 special guests who will be reading the Declaration. They are all descendants of the original signers of the Declaration of Independence. Laura Bellman and her son John are descended from 3 signers: Samuel Chase of Maryland, William Ellery of Rhode Island, and Oliver Walcott of Connecticut. Michael Miller is descended from signer Colonel William Williams of Connecticut, and Laura Murphy is descended from Philip Livingston of New York. By signing this document, their ancestors became wanted men, traitors to the king. Just think of the courage it took to sign the Declaration and how important independence from England meant for them to risk their lives. By the end of the Revolutionary War, more than half of the signers suffered direct personal consequences for their support of American independence. We have the signers to thank for the freedoms we enjoy today. These descendants have learned much about their ancestors. If you'd like to learn more about your family history, you're just steps away from Family History Central. People visit us daily to search for their own ancestors. In our research rooms across the country, people comb through these records to piece together details of their family histories. The records we hold are for the American people. You never know. You may be related to a signer as well. National Archives records can help you discover your own history.